multiculturalism. Catherine Berblesing's Michaela School is currently going to the high courts.
Mm.
She's being sued by Muslim students who were forbidden from paying. Students with legal aid, I should say, of 100,000, at least 100,000 pounds behind them. Berblesing's
Where did
school,
that come from, by the way?
Well, quite. Just like the UN, we're paying for it. The school's rated. I haven't been to Michaela School.
I've been.
Yeah.
I've been a couple of times. It's a superb school. We should probably just explain the nature of the school because
you'll do a better job than me.
Well, so in the last decade, the Conservatives set up something similar to the charter school system in the US, where because state education, like private education, frankly, in the UK and the US, is so abysmal these days, they wanted to improve school choice. And there were these things called free schools, like charter schools in the US. And parents, it's not about fee paying. It's about the parents selecting the school and the money that the government pays for that child going with them to that school. But it gives parents a choice of the type of school that their child will be sent to. Now, if you go to the Michaela Academy, as I have done, you will see like one of the very few hopes we have in our country. Okay, I mean, every child is almost every child is from an immigrant background. Almost every child is from a poor background. They are being given the best start in life anyone could have.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting a better start in life than kids at Eton or Harrow or Winchester. The education at this school is superb, and it's because of the ethos. And it's because of the ethos of Catherine Berblesing, which is about discipline, about respect, but earned respect. It's about working hard, motivation. The children behave beautifully. They learn beautifully. They're taught amazingly. And they've had results that are unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
The exam results of this school are so extraordinary that they've already gone to the top of the league. Now, just quickly, Catherine Berblesing has done that in the face of all opposition, from the Labour Party, from left-wing councils. One building she wanted to buy was sold by the local council for less than she was offering when she was starting the school because they didn't want to sell it to her school.
Why did they take such umbrage with her?
Because she would show them up.
Mm.
She would show them up. Well, the teaching unions and everyone else in America and in Britain and elsewhere, they are so shown up when somebody comes along and says, actually, it's not a matter of more money.
Mm.
It's not a matter of bigger pensions for teachers. It's a matter of excellence and the right type of discipline and education. And this school has been the subject of more attack. I mean, literally people handing out leaflets at the gates to try to intimidate pupils. Children.
So it seems like the case to me is one of she is attempting assimilation. So she has all the kids saying, God save the king in the morning. They all eat vegetarian food because there's all different religions. There's Muslims, there's Hindus, there's Christians. So it's the way that they can break bread together. It's all designed intentionally so that they can be together. So also is, as I've said, praying is banned. Now for me, this is
banned.
Banned?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought you said bad.
Banned. Sorry, banned.
Yes.
Although I would say God Save the King, a hymn, but sort of a prayer.
It's the national anthem, yeah.
If it was a Christian prayer, do you think it should be banned also? And okay, well, let's put it a different way. The French style, where you can't wear a burqa or even a crucifix in public buildings, it's this kind of secular attempt to deal with the multiculturalism.
Yeah.
So this Berblesing's doing a version of that. Is this the correct route to addressing that problem?
Well, just to finish that bit, the reason why this case is so egregious is because the school is a secular school. Mm-hmm. Okay, it is a secular school. There isn't a prayer room for Christians and a prayer room for Muslims and a prayer room for Hindus, and there aren't religious holidays celebrated. When a parent sends their child to the school, as I understand it, they sign up to the rules of the school. And if they didn't like them, you can go elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
when a child is signed up for a school, it is a contract. Both sides agree to it. This child, any other child, knows what they're going to. They're going to a secular school. And it's a very sensible thing, to my mind, that Catherine Berble-Singh did, because if you don't take the secular approach in an area like the one she's in, and you're starting from scratch, you will be subject to every religion and denomination making its own demands. And before you know it, you're not getting any education done because you're spending the whole darn time arguing about things that shouldn't be argued about in school. So, and this is a totally egregious case because the pupil and her parents knew what they were signing up to, and they have deliberately, in my view, used this as a wedge issue against a very successful secular school, and they know what they're doing. And by the way, Muslims and others have done this in a lot of places. They push against the secularism, and they make more and more demands, and they're never demands for the Hindus, they're never demands for the Christians, and so on. I would say that if a child of a Christian family insisted on having a Christian prayer room in a school they knew had been set up to be secular, the same should apply. No.
You know, this whole case out there, folks, this is going to be an unbelievable landmark case. This is going to have repercussions for you folks across the pond in the United Kingdom. I don't know if it's so united anymore. Sometimes I look at that United States of America. I don't think we're united. We're disunited. United Kingdom, I think you guys are disunited kingdom. In this case, in terms of the educational status of children going forward, especially, as Doug was saying, these are usually minority children, children that are, are coming from low income, low wage earning families, majority, as they said, coming from minority groups. And they are getting an unbelievable education, folks. This is one of the top tier schools. It's not in terms of being a secular private school, but one of the, like a charter school. And any time that you have any of these types of schools, here in the United States too, you see Catholic schools outperforming, Jewish schools outperforming the public sector, Muslim schools outperforming the public sector, people that are homeschooling, millions upon millions of families in America, they decide, you know what, the hell with the public education system. We are going to what? We're going to homeschool our kids. We're going to instill our values in our children. We're not going to let the state or the government or, the school board or teachers or whatever indoctrinate our children. We want to go to school to our kids to be educated in STEM, science, technology, engineering, math. We want them to know how to speak English. We want them to know how to speak other languages. That's fine, French, Spanish, whatever's offered. History, geography. But we don't want to get into culture wars. We don't want to get into religious, disagreements. And this whole thing about having a prayer room, not having... It's a secular school. They signed up. They knew the rules when that happened. Doug is right. These Muslim fundamentalists, some of these families, it only takes one family to screw with the rest of them. And when this gets up to the higher courts, folks, we are hoping, we are praying for you folks over there in the disunited kingdom that the higher courts rule in favor of Catherine Berble-Singh and Michaela School. Otherwise, it's just that school's going to be destroyed. And if I were her, you know what? I'd say, you tried, but you do this, it is going to open the floodgates to everything now. Every single group is going to ask for something. How are you going to allow that to happen? I don't know. I know that it's the children that are there, but if these families want to force the school into closing, this is what's going to happen, folks. And unfortunately, it's going to be the other parents, the majority of the parents, they don't want this. It's only happening by one person is suing. One is literally screwing it up for the rest of everybody else. Anyways, this is what we have on tap for you today, folks. You're watching the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show. I'm your host, Dr. Nasir, and this is what we get when we get Douglas Murray sitting down for an interview, talking about all the things that are simmering underneath, all the things that are clashing. Politics, school, charter school, choice of school, education, religion, prayers, prayer bands, they all come crashing together. Let's get back to more of the interview with Douglas Murray right now.
You and your parents, and it's always the parents, of course, if your parents want this to become a non-secular school, go to a different school.
Absolutely.
But it's different in different places. There are Christian schools. One of the few things the Church of England still does is run a lot of Church of England schools. If you go to a Church of England school, you shouldn't be surprised if there are, well, actually, these days you would be surprised if there's anything Church of England about it. But anyway, you shouldn't be surprised if there was something Church of England about it. Same thing with Catholic schools. Mm-hmm. If you go to a Catholic school, you sign up to a Catholic school, don't be surprised if there's some Hail Marys somewhere along the way. I mean, that's the deal. So people don't realize, they realize in France, they don't realize in Britain, this is a very specific tactic. Always to go in like this, create the wedge in which you push your religion through. Mm-hmm. And I would argue Britain is in a weaker place than France about that, because we have a complex, well, every country has a complex situation with religion. But France has a very clear one, which, whatever your views, it's been clear since 1905. And
what do you think about in England religious schools? So be they Muslim schools, Jewish schools, where it's a Christian nation still, although now minority Christian, we're still a Christian nation. Do you think that there should be Muslim schools, Jewish schools, and Christian schools?
Well, this is a really hard one, actually, because the way I would say it is, you start from where we are. One of the extraordinary things about France is that every now and then it reboots itself, and the Second Republic becomes the Third Republic, and the Third Republic the Fourth, and perhaps the Fourth the Fifth, and we don't do that in Britain. I mean, the nature of common law and the nature of laws continuing by precedent, and we just have a different history with religion. And, I think you sort of have several options in front of you. One is to try to start again from day one. I think that would be very hard in Britain. We are where we are. I mean, in Northern Ireland, there's still problems with Catholic and Protestant schools and so on. And, our islands have had a complex religious history, as I say, like everywhere. I mean, I would like the predominantly schools in Britain to be advocating the laws and the culture of Britain. I would actually like everyone in the country to have an understanding of where we've come from. I was rather sad, to put it no stronger, to see that at the coronation there were certain politicians who couldn't sing the hymns.
Did you feel good about the different religions being represented in the?
I thought that was rather tastefully done in the end. I thought, greet them at the end, or or have that moment where they all take a part. Fine, it's a way for Britain to adapt to the era we found ourselves in because of mass migration. It was a rather British compromise solution, but the service was a full-on Christian service, as it quite rightly should be. You get into tricky terrain with, I mean, if there were other denominations, if there were any denominations that were teaching basically separation from the state, then I would not be in favor of that. Broadly speaking, I think Muslim schools teaching Islam as a school ideology is not a good idea, because I think it encourages segregation.
So not for the content itself, but just for the fact that it's different from
I think it's different.
the British worldview.
Yeah, and I think it ghettoizes Muslims who are already ghettoizing themselves to a great extent in the UK. Then people say, well, what about Jewish schools and so on? I don't see Jewish schools in the UK as being anything other than, in most cases, centers of some excellence, And I wouldn't want to stop those schools because, I mean, why should everyone have to for one particular religion having problems. And it does. Islam has problems. Bigger problems are other religions. Have other religions had problems in the past? You bet.
Do you think Islam's compatible with British values?
Islam, the religion?
Yeah.
Well,
I was a little surprised there that Douglas didn't really answer the question directly when Winston asked him about, should there be allowed to have, Muslim schools, Jewish schools, Christian schools, religious schools, in Britain. Douglas sort of tiptoed around that a little bit. Although at the very end, he basically said that he probably felt that there shouldn't be, Muslim schools or religious schools, although he was giving a little credence there to the Jewish schools because he felt in terms of the indoctrination, he's not feeling that they're being indoctrinated into a certain, into, let's say, the more fundamentalist parts, of the religion. And I don't know that much about the Muslim schools in England. Are they just, teaching their religion, or are there some of the Muslim schools, are there being more of an indoctrination center? That I don't know. Maybe somebody in the comments, could let me know. But I do know here in the United States of America, that certainly does not happen. At least not in the larger Muslim schools. There might be some smaller places or whatever. But the type of fundamentalism, indoctrination, those kind of things, that's pretty much, as far as I know here in the United States, is not happening. There are too many families and too many Muslim families here that are very moderate, liberal, I would say as well, that would not allow that to happen. In that setting, it's just with everything out there with social media and everything, kids having phones and coming back and telling their parents what's going on. I don't think that's. I think schooling is pretty mainstream here, and as far as the grades and the kids going to them, most of them are of excellent quality. To give you an idea, in Chicago, for example, there are a lot of Christian children that are attending the Muslim schools. And just like sometimes you would see other people from other faiths would be sending their children, because they could afford it, to the Catholic schools instead of public education, because they knew what they were getting at a Catholic school. They were going to get a great education. And they were willing to send their kids there to get that, even though they might have been of a Jewish faith or a Muslim faith or non-denominational faith. But they knew the kids were going to have, learning was going to occur there, discipline was going to be occurred there, respect was going to be there. And they also knew that in terms of the grades and the focus on family and values, all that was going to be there. So I don't see anything wrong with various schools that are forming from different religions. As long as you're going to teach a religion, that's fine. But as long as that's that mainstream religion in the religion classes. But other than that, they still have to go ahead and learn, the reading, the writing, the arithmetic, the STEM subjects, all of those things still have to happen. So anyways, folks, we appreciate you taking the time to watch. You've been watching the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show. I've been your host. My name is Dr. Nasir. If you've been done so already, we'd love for you to subscribe to the channel, like, share, and follow us. Let us know what you think of this interview in the comments below. Take a look at our other videos above and below. We had to break this interview up into several parts, so check out the video on our links. I'll leave with my final thought, which is, when you're right, you're right, and when you're left, you're wrong. Until next time, folks, take care and stay safe.